look who's a host. Super Bowl champ, ESPN NFL analyst Ryan Clark just been named the new host of Inside the NFL. No longer an analyst. He's a host. All right. So there's a little bit different approach to that you're used to asking, being asked questions. Now you have to ask questions.
Yeah, I think, I have a podcast called The Pivot, and we've had an opportunity to, sit down with everyone from Mike Tomlin to The Rock to Kevin Hart, all of these young athletes who are doing amazing things. And so I've gotten some of those reps, but what's exciting about the challenge is actually quarterbacking an entire show, whether it's been having opportunities to watch you do it or sitting with Laura Rutledge, Mike Greenberg, Scott Van Pelt. I've always been fascinated with that part of the business. And I think even more than anything, it's being an analyst, being looked at in that box for so long throughout my career, and now having an opportunity to do something different. I'm excited about that.
So the analyst, you got Channing Crowder, Jay Cutler, Chad Ochocinco, and Chris Long.
Yep.
Do you have an issue with any of these guys when you played?
I don't think anybody ever liked Jay. So I don't really know if that's a specific question for me. It's freaking Jay Cutler.
Wait, why?
Jay Cutler
why is it nobody likes Jay Cutler?
Jay Cutler had this, I know you just talked about your podcast that you had to cut up, so let me choose my words wisely. Jay Cutler just had this effing demeanor. It was about whatever team he was playing on and no one else. And I think that's always different for a quarterback because a lot of times quarterbacks try to get along with the other teams, and quarterbacks don't really talk a lot of trash or have certain personas because they know they're the hunted inside the pocket. And Jay didn't care about that. And so when you ran up on a quarterback who had a sort of defensive demeanor about himself, this me against the world thing, it's kind of off-putting. And you want to go at that dude. You want to get at him. And the way that he answered questions, sort of this quiet arrogance he had, I don't think it was something that many of us defensive players loved. And so we've had rehearsal already, and I was very aware of that. I felt that feeling. But once he sat down, man, started to spit his knowledge, tell his stories from his perspective, you just saw how good he could be at the job. And it's good to have somebody on the panel who has sort of that demeanor to bring that side to the show.
But how many quarterbacks did you encounter who had that attitude that if you came up on them, they were going to say something back. They were going to engage with you. Jay Cutler is not the only guy to do that.
Well, Phillip Rivers did it, but Phillip Rivers did it in an entirely different way. We're talking about a man with 27 kids, right, Dan? So you're going to need to let some things out when you get on the football field. But Phil was the guy that talked. Tom was always super cool. Peyton Manning, always extremely nice. Like, those dudes just wanted to go out and beat the brakes off of you when it came to the field, but they weren't the type to talk. They weren't the type that came at you. Jay Cutler actually ran over a teammate of mine when he played for Chicago, a guy named Robert Golden, and we never let him live it down. And it was so funny. I brought it up to Jay when I saw him. He's like, man, now looking back on it, I actually feel bad. He's like, I know what it is for a DB to get ran over by a quarterback. But Jay's super cool, man. I'm excited to work with him. Ocho is always Ocho. He already tried to buy the entire crew McDonald's the last time that we were together. Channing's going to say whatever. And I mean, Chris just has a legacy and a lineage in this league, both on the field and off, that we're excited to tap into as well.
Talking to Ryan Clark, the new host of Inside the NFL, makes its CW debut next Tuesday at 8 Eastern. And they'll have some NFL Films mic'd up sounds from the game included in that. All right, let's go around the league. A couple of things here. Joe Burrow, why no contract?
I don't really know. Cincinnati has kind of been notoriously frugal, if we're going to use that word. But it can't be because of the calf injury. All he's done is win healthy in this league, a Super Bowl, an AFC championship the last 2 years. So it's really a confusing thing. But you have to look at Joe Burrow also has the same agent as Nick Bosa, right? Both of these men deserving of new contracts, neither of those men having new contracts. So you don't know if there's something going on there where they just can't figure out a monetary value that makes sense to both team and player.
Yeah, people didn't get caught up in Chris Jones and Bosa holding out. They were caught up in the running back story, like all the poor running backs. Now, not that Bosa and Jones aren't going to get paid and they're going to get paid a whole lot more, but when you think of the success of the Kansas City Chiefs, I can think Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and then I probably go to Chris Jones. I know Kelsey's spectacular, but on the defensive side of the ball, Chris Jones is really, and aside from Aaron Donald, is probably the best defensive tackle, second best defensive tackle in the game. Is he going to get paid by Kansas City?
Yeah, I believe he'll get paid by Kansas City, but we all know what happens, right? Chris Jones, even though we are saying he's the second best tackle, and I think that's widely agreed to, Chris Jones thinks he's the best tackle, right? Like these dudes don't sit around in the house and like, man, I'm really good, but that Aaron Donald is just a little bit better than
Do you
me.
think Chris Jones thinks he's better than Aaron Donald?
100%.
Okay.
And if he doesn't, then he's not the person and player I think he is. Now, there was a time where that was unquestionably Aaron Donald, and you couldn't say that. But this is the Chris Jones that led his defense to a Super Bowl. This is the Chris Jones that is important to his team's defense as the best quarterback in the world. Patrick Mahomes is important to their offense. And when you carry a team the way that he did up front for the Kansas City Chiefs, I bet this day he's not asking to be paid less than Aaron Donald. He's not just accepting that he should be paid less than Aaron Donald, and he's going to be in search of that money, which he should. And you're right. The focus is not on the Chris Jones and the Nick Bosa holdouts because we've seen so many pass rushers get paid already. The reason it was a running back thing is because it was a group of them that we considered elite that weren't able to come to terms on long-term contracts with their current teams.
When do you make your Super Bowl pick?
Well, I hate making it before the season, right? And you know this. You're in the business. It's good conversation. It's conversation you need when games aren't being played. But hell, I don't know. Like I can be honest with you. Dan, like if you look at it, you say the Philadelphia Eagles are primed in the NFC. We've seen the best quarterbacks either go to the Jets or retire. And now Jalen Hurts sits along at the top. You look at what they did defensively, especially in the draft with a guy like Jalen Carter early. You say, okay, you can replace some of those people that left. Philadelphia should be in it. Nobody ever wants to bet against the Kansas City Chiefs. But here's my Ryan Clark kind of, I guess, off the wall picks. I would think the Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys. Those would be my teams if we're going to step away from what we always believe, from thinking that seasons just carry over. I believe that both of those teams, if they play to the top of their potential, should be in the AFC and NFC championship and could very well be in the Super Bowl.
Why is Dak Prescott a lightning rod? If Dak Prescott played on another team, would he get anywhere near this attention?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Dak Prescott, I don't think Dak Prescott's play calls for this attention, either negatively or positively. I don't think Dak Prescott's personality calls for this sort of attention, either negatively or positively. But he plays for the Dallas Cowboys. He plays for a team that when their quarterback struggles a little bit the year before and their quarterback is working on a new contract or needs a new contract because his cap hit is $60 million, they go get a former first round pick who was picked third overall. That puts you back into the conversation. And also think about, like, I'm smart enough now to know after complaining on Get Up every Monday morning and I don't want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, they rate apparently. And people listen and people care and they are America's team. And when all of those things go into those ingredients and you're the quarterback of that team and you can't get out of the divisional round of the playoffs, people are going to talk about it.
But help me understand this. And I know the answer, but you go into a show. Are you talking about the Cowboys because they weren't being talked about or because you know you're going to get clicks? And therefore, are you bypassing other stories that should be talked about or more important?
I think it depends on the show you're on. I think if a show is
like Monday morning with Get Up with Green.
Yeah, I think sometimes you do pass it up. I think sometimes you do pass up some stories that you personally would want to talk about as a football analyst, stories that you personally are tapped into or you find extremely interesting. And we've worked our way into talking about those stories in order to build viewerships about those teams, in order to get those fan bases engaged. But I think Dallas is always a story. Dallas always finds a way to be relevant. But the fact that people want to see it makes it something that always moves to the top of the list as well.
Yeah, we love to do is Dak an elite quarterback, and I understand. I don't play to the numbers. I don't have metrics here that say you got to hammer LeBron and Dallas. I mean, I understand it. When I was at ESPN, we always had to talk about Red Sox, Yankees, Duke basketball. Like there was 4 or 5 things that you go, you got to check the box. How do we work this into the show? And it can be challenging when your instincts are, man, we should be talking about this wide receiver or this defensive, front here, and we don't always do it. Would you have rather faced Brady or Aaron Rodgers?
Brady, and the reason that's a great question to ask me is I say every day, Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback I ever played against. I think Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback in football history. Tom Brady was able to beat us with his mind, understand where we would be, whether it was because they had filmed our practices and they knew our signals, or if it was just Tom Brady was that dang good. Aaron Rodgers, though, when we were really good in 2010 defensively, and we knew exactly where the ball would be going, we still couldn't beat him. He still made plays and threw footballs into places where they just weren't supposed to go, in ways they weren't supposed to get there. And the Green Bay Packers fans, at least social media wise, have this big thing with me because they think I hate Aaron Rodgers. It's actually the exact opposite. I love him. And there are plays that stick out in my mind in that Super Bowl and moments I shared with 12 where I was like, yeah, bro, like he's just that dude. And even in going to practice twice this offseason in training camp with the New York Jets, he's still that dude. He can still do things with the football that we haven't seen normal humans do. And I believe he's going to have a great year.
But you knew what Brady was going to do, right?
No. I mean, you knew where Brady was going to go with the football, but Brady was able to adjust that based on what we were doing. If you go back through our games against Tom Brady, I think it was 2000, maybe 2010, 2011. I can't remember the year, but we played them in Pittsburgh, and we had drafted these young defensive backs. They were long, they were fast, they were athletic. We changed everything we had ever done for one day. We changed it all, and we beat the brakes off of them. We physically abused them. We dominated their receivers and their tight ends, but it was the first time we didn't try to beat Tom Brady here. It was the first time we didn't try to beat Tom Brady at all. What we said were we were going to beat Rob Gronkowski. We were going to beat, may he rest in peace, Aaron Hernandez. We were going to beat the receivers. We weren't going to beat 12. And that's how we won the game. Every time we went into a game as who we were and did what we did the best we could, Tom Brady absolutely annihilated us because he knew where everything was coming and he knew what was going to be open based on what was coming.
What do you have there, Paulie?
I got the box score from that game, and Ryan had 9 tackles. It was 25-17 Steelers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you own Tom Brady at least for one day?
No, we just rented. We leased him. We leased him.
That's probably.
We gave him right back.
Yeah,
we gave him right back.
He's not coming back, Ryan. You don't have to worry about it. No, you don't have to worry about it. You owned Tom Brady one day. One day.
Hey, no. That just makes me scared that now he's going to want to host Inside the NFL and take that job from me. So I'm just trying to be nice, Dan.
Well, good luck with this. Great to talk to you. Congratulations.
Man, thank you so much. Have a great day.
That's Ryan Clark of the Mothership. It'll be Inside the NFL. Makes its CW debut next Tuesday. Jay Cutler, nobody likes him. Channing Crowder, Chad Ochocinco, and Chris Long.